Hi guys, welcome back. In today's videos, we're going to be talking about loops. It's used in several programming language and in PHP. It's just a way of executing repetitive tasks. So in PHP, loops are used to execute a block of code repeatedly as long as the specified condition is true. The condition has to be true for it to execute. So in this case, we have three main types. We have the for loop, we have the for each loop, we have the while loop. There are more than that. We have do while loop and so on. So as for the the for loop, we make use of these three things: the initialization, the condition, and the increment or decrement. So those are the conditions that are actually used, and that is the syntax. So here's an example. We have an I, a variable which is equals to 0, which is the initialization. You're initializing this I to be equals to what? 0. And then we have the condition which says that I has to be what? Less than 5. For I is less than 5, that is the condition, and then it auto increase it. This is auto increment. It increases it by 1. It increases it by 1, and if all these conditions are met, it will execute this code. It will echo the number is I. Let's try that here. So yeah, this is our last topic. Now just crop that out. Okay, we have it down here. And then we have the for loop, we have the for each loop, and then we have the while loop. So in our for loop here, we are giving it for, we are giving this condition, we have our I, we have our $I to be equals to 0, and then so the condition here will be less than 5. Okay, let's make it 5 instead of 4, and then we are giving it an auto increment to be what? I, let me give it plus plus. Yep. So yeah, this is how a for loop looks like. So we have this to be what? The initialization, and then we have this to be the condition, and then we have this to be the increment. So it can either be increment or decrement. So as this goes on, we will echo our $I, but since it keeps increasing and increasing and increasing, let's just specify a break tag, so it will just break it there. So now let me refresh and see. You can see we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is it starting from 0? That's if you are familiar with what increment is, I said the initial is what is going to output before it what increases it. This is a pre-increment. After it has what echoed out the variable, that's when it undergoes the increment. That is it. So you can also just know that if you should increase this number to, let me say, 10, it will what? Get to, it will output 10, 10 out, it will give out 10 outputs, but as long as it's less than 10, as long as it's less than 10, it will execute. So that means 10 is not less than 10, so 10 will not output. Can you see? It stops at 9. It stops at 9. That is because when it gets to 10, after adding plus 1, once the I goes to 10, it cannot be less than 10, so it will stop executing. That is how a loop looks like. So which other thing again can we do? We can have another example to be, let's say, ages, and then because it's an array, we can make it look like, I didn't type v, let's use this type of array. So let me say 20, less than 30, 40, 50, 60. Where should we stop? 70. So since this is an array and we want to output it, You can also make use of for. Now in this case, I don't want to make use of this syntax because this is quite different. If I should say for I is equal to 0, that is, let me first echo this out. I mean, let me comment it out so we won't make mistake. So this is an array, and then this is the condition here. For I equals to 0, I not less than 10, we don't want to make use of 10. We can make use of this instead. For I is less than the count of ages. We have that as a variable. Yeah, this particular variable here, it will automatically count the datas that are available in this array, and as long as this I is still less than the count, it's going to continue to what, to increase it. Do you understand that? It's going to continue to increase it. So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 here. So there are actually cases whereby you don't know how many data are available in an array. Maybe you're just fetching the array from somewhere or a database, so you might not actually know how many they are. So you count it this way and then assign it to this variable, just like that. So that's how you can make use of this condition. So as long as I is less than the count of ages, just onto a increment, so we can decide to what to echo. So in this case, we can, instead of echoing I, we can echo the ages, and then we specify it as in $I. Yeah, and then I can concatenate it with a br tag. Let's see, will this work? Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course it did. If you understand what I did here, this I, like I said, is like a counter. We're using it like a counter now. So this I is equals to 0, that's it's initializing it to be 0. And this I is, as long as this I is less than the count of ages, so it counts how many variables that we have in these ages, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6. But in counting, in coding, it starts with 0, and then here it continues to what, to increase. So we are echoing out ages, not actually I. We are echoing out the ages, but this I is representing the index because it's a counter. So the I is initialized here as what, 0, which is what, 0. So it's going to output what, the data in this array that has the index 0. Do you understand that? That's why it's going to first print out, which is 20, and then once it auto increases, this I becomes 1, and then we are echoing out the second data in this array. That is just the meaning. And then this br tag here is just a concatenation, so that everything is going to come out like in form of a list. So aside from this, we can also have, let me comment this one out again. We have for each loop. Yep, we have for each loop. And how does for each loop looks like? It's just as simple as writing for each. Can you see? It's just as simple as writing for each. And we can also make use of this ages. We can make use of these ages as an example. So for each ages as age, let me save this way. Yeah. So what does it do? It's for each of this as what, as a single variable, age. This variable is quite different from this, and this as is like a constant. It's attached with a for each. Each time you're making use of for each loop, you have to make use of what, that as. So this is a variable, and then this is another new variable. So this variable has been assigned right here, and you can see that ages is equals to what, this whole array, and we are representing each of it as what, as age. That is just one of it to be what, to be age, and that is what we are going to use in this loop. So we are going to echo what is this suggesting? So we are going to echo ages I feel it's gonna give us the same output. So I'm concatenating with a BR tag. I think it's gonna give us the same output with this. Oh, okay. So what do we have here? Age is to be equals to age. Okay, we are echoing not ages. We are meant to echo age. Can you see that now? I think it was based on the suggestion. So we are echoing out age because we are already looping through it. For each ages as what age. So this is the new variable that is being assigned to each of ages, and that is what we need to echo out and concatenate with the BR tag. So with this now, let me reload. Can you see? It's quite the same with what we have before. So we have 20, 30, 40, 50 to 70. So this is the main reason why it is said that each time you are declaring an array, pluralize it. It can be ages, it can be products, it can be blog, it can be whatever, just add an S to it. So it will be easier for you to understand later on when you are coding. So aside from for each, or should I give you, let me give an example. Let me give another example under this for each. So let me before this, I have an example here that is quite interesting also. So you can see array and then the new value. So this is the previous array and then this is the new value. That is the new variable you are assigning to, or you are calling out in the for each function. So we have ages to be this. Okay, instead of typing, let me copy out the whole thing and show you here. Let's see if it's going to be arranged. So for each, it shouldn't be that bad. Yep. So what does this mean? This is our variable age. This is another way of declaring an array. We have the name to be Peter is equals to what? 35. We have another name to be Ben. We have the age to be 37. We have another name and then we have another age. So in this case, this is an associative array. We didn't declare it using index. This okay. This shouldn't even be here. Let me just cut it out. It should be under for each. Yeah, because it's a for each example. So it's not an index array like this that we know this to be 0, this is 1, and then like that. This is an associative array. And then we are using for each. It's still the same way we did this. That we're still going to do this, but take note of this. We are saying for each age, that is this, as name and years. That is, this is what? This is the key, and then this is the value. Meaning this is the key, this is the value. Do you understand that now? So every name as Peter and every years as this. Do you understand? That is what is echoing it out. That's what it's going to echo out here. So to echo the name first is so years old, and then we have a BR tag. Everything is right in a string, or you can just decide to write them out and then concatenate your BR tags separately. So this is still going to work, and let me reload. Can you see? It gave us the name, and then the age. So that also works, and if you would like to pluralize this also to be ages, it still works well, as long as you are not confused, and you won't be confused. So we have another example, and this is it. I would like to just copy it out here also. Comment this one out. So this is a multidimensional array. We have the key, we have the value, we have the name to be this, and then we have the price to be this. We have another name to be this, and then the price to be this. So this is actually an associative array. This is an associative array that has key and value, but individually, looking at this bracket and then this bracket is an index array, representing this to be 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index, and so on. I'm having a call. So the next thing is we can also make use of our for each of it, for each of the products, for each product. Please don't call. As product. No, you are going to call again. For each product as product, so we're going to have this. We can echo out just the name. We can echo out the product name. So we can have this way, and then we can concatenate it. Yep, we can concatenate it with a BR tag. But before even concatenating with a BR tag, we can both output the product name and then the product price. So it's more like you're having this, I'm concatenating it with another. Okay, let me have this. Don't worry, you understand. And then we have this. No, we have our product price. Yes, and then I'm concatenating it with my BR tag. Exactly. It can end this way. So if you understand what this is, it's going to cycle through the products, that is this particular multidimensional array, and it's going to cycle it as what? Products. So individual products, the name, which is the key, is going to output it out here and concatenate it with a dash, like an hyphen, sorry, and then we are concatenating it again with the product, the product price is going to print out what? The product price in this case, and then we have a BR tag next. So if we should save, hope there is nothing else here, we just have this, and then can you see? So it's bringing out the name, and then we have the price, the name, the price, the name, the price. So if we add a space here, last space here, of course we have the space right here. Sorry. So once I reload, can you see it's going to output what? The space too. So that's just a way of cycling through using for each, and in most cases it's more advisable to use for each. I don't like using while loop, but yeah, down to while loop we can also have our condition in form of a while loop, and a while loop is just more like a for loop. It works just like this for loop, but what it does here is that we don't make use of our initialization in this condition. We only state out our condition in the brackets. Our initialization will be away, that is outside. It will be it will be declared globally, and then our increment or decrement will be specified inside the words, inside the while loop, inside the loop. So after this, let me give an example. I think we're still going to make use of our product. Yes, I'll make use of age. No, I'm not making use of age. So we can have while loop is just like this also, and then we have our brackets to be what? We have our incremental should be less than the count, count. I don't want to make use of age. I'm going to make use of the one for product. Yeah, so it will count through everything that we have in products, and it will execute this. So I can decide to echo it just like I will be echoing for loop product, and then we'll specify it to be what? ID. I. Yep. And then we can decide to only output the name because it is multi-dimensional array. For us to make use of that echo, we are going to echo what? Let me just end this line so it won't give me an error. So yeah, with this work, yeah, it will. So let's see. So we have products here, And then we have this, which is specifying the index of this multidimensional array. So let's assume this I is 0, is going to print out this, and it will just be the name that is going to print out. But there is something you should take note of. If you should run this, it's actually going to, should I say, seize your browser. The reason is because it's going to live through infinitely. Okay, yeah, it will live through infinitely if I specify the increment down here. Yes, so that is, we don't have an initial value of I, whichever value I is, as far as it's less than the count of 0, which is 0, can be less than the count of 0. It's going to loop through this, and it's going to print out this name, this first one, Devafo. And then, yeah, exactly. And then it will increase it. That 0 will not still increase, because we are only increasing inside this, but we are not increasing outside. So the best way is we specify the value of our I to be what? Equals to 0. So now that I is equals to 0, this is the initialized value for I. And then we have it to be 0 here. As far as 0 is less than the count of products. Exactly. Echo out the product I name. This I is representing the index. And then this name is specifying the key of that associative array. And then it will increase it again and then come back here. So it increasing is changing the value of the initial value of I. So I here is 0, it increases it, comes back to 1, increases it, comes back to the 2, to the end of it all. So now let's just put control, yep. So we have it here, therefore, and a lot of names, so I can just concatenate it with a BR tag. She gets, yep, exactly. So that's how we look through a lot of datas, and at the same time we can also have it down here in our HTML code. So let me just comment this one out, save, and everything we have here, we'll output it out here as in form of a list. So we have this to be this way. In our HTML code, we can make use of PHP, don't forget. And for us to make use of that, let me first specify, you know what this is, on ordered list. And in our ordered list, let me now bring in my PHP tag. So we have our PHP this way. We end every line. Okay. So now we are looping through it, so we can make use of our for each. Don't forget, we are making use of this array. She gets, so for each product, as product, as for each product as product, what will it do? When you're opening your tag here, you don't close the tag on the same line, because we want the PHP to function as a loop. So we have another PHP tag here to close that loop right here. Do you understand that now? So every line in your HTML code, every line of PHP code, just start it with PHP and end it on that same line. Start another one on that same line. This does not mean that it's going to execute a different task. It's going to run from up to down, top to bottom. So it's still going to execute what we have here. And even though this is not closed on this line, it will still continue loading. So right in between, we want to give it an HTML styling get, just to make it look nice. So let me say my h3 tag, and in my h3 tag I just want to specify the product name. So in this case, I'm using my PHP to specify, to print out, or to loop. So in this case, I want to echo, what do I want to echo? The product name. So before that, let me just give it a normal HTML stuff. Product name, let me say, equals to, don't forget, this is just a string, there is no function in it, it's just a string. And then I'm concatenating it with my product product name. Yeah, I don't think this is hard to understand. Yep, and then I'm ending the line this way. So what is this? It's going to echo out this normal string product name equals what? The product name will output here. Do you get that? And since it's a loop, it will continue to loop through. So just let me copy what we have here. We also want the in form of a paragraph, and then product price to be product price. Yes. And which other thing again? Yeah, I would like it to break br. Yep, so it is just looping through everything that we have here. And yep, let me just save. Let's see if this works. Yeah, exactly, it works well. So this is the beginning of our HTML page, and then we have the product name equals, this is actually a PHP output. Can you see that? It's a PHP output, and this is also a PHP output, but it's just a normal echo. So we have the names, individual names, to loop through all the name individually, one after the other, and then bring out what's the price also underneath it. Yeah, I'm very sure if you pay attention, you realize looping through is not that difficult. So depending on the type of loop you love using the most, you can make use of the for loop, you can make use of the for each loop, and you can also make use of the while loop on this same multidimensional array, on whichever type of array, or whichever type of data. So thank you very much.